This morning's guest is talking about some upcoming events for Down syndrome. Who is she? You'll meet her coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Stevens Floor Covering Center on the frontage road between the Sun News and Ashley Furniture off of Highway 17 bypass in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on the Grand Strand Down Syndrome Society, and we're visiting with its president, Sharon Hughes. Good morning, Sharon.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for coming in early on a Tuesday morning.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Particularly on the eve of these three big events in the month of August with the Grand Strand Down Syndrome Society. A lot going on.
Definitely.
I don't know how you can take even a couple hours in the morning to get up here and to take any time off in preparing for these three events.
Well, we've been very busy, but we felt this was important, so.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And of course, you've got a lot of great volunteers helping put on these three events.
Yes, we do. We're very blessed with that.
Well, we sure are glad to get you in. How old is the Grand Strand Down Syndrome Society? How long has it been around?
Our society has been around for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
It was started in Pawleys Island by a group of parents that were interested in developing a support network for families with children with Down syndrome.
For families with children with Down syndrome.
Yes.
Absolutely. You know, seeing that and the idea, just one of the basic premise off the website, by parents, for parents.
Yes.
So clearly a lot of parents, either at birth or pre-birth or immediately after birth, have a lot of questions.
Definitely. And we're lucky we have members in our group that cover all the span of a person's life, from prenatal diagnosis to finding out right after your child is born, to families, as my family did, that moved here with a child with Down syndrome to adulthood.
Right. When you moved here, and share with viewers a little bit, if you don't mind, you actually have personal experience.
Yes, I have a 16-year-old daughter, Laura, that has Down syndrome, and we moved here in 2001 to Pawleys Island. And one of the first things I did when we moved here was started looking around for a group of parents that had similar experiences and children with Down syndrome, and I wasn't able to find that. And I ended up stopping people in the grocery store or just asking around, asking if anyone knew of another family with a child with Down syndrome.
Right.
And I was able to find a few, but everyone that I talked to expressed the same need. It would be nicer to know that there were a larger group of parents and more kids out there so that we could just share experiences.
Right. You came here from a community that did have an active, organized group of parents and others that essentially got together for much of the same things you all now do.
Right. We moved here from Mobile, Alabama.
Right.
And there is an active group in Mobile, and they were wonderful when Laura was born. Someone was in contact with me within just a few days of her birth. And it just continued on. And still now, when I return to Mobile, it's my home.
Right. And
when I return there to visit friends, I still get together with the people I know from that group.
Is that right?
Yes.
That's great. So they've stayed together. This would be, oftentimes folks would be in the group for many, many years. There's surely things going on throughout the course of the life of children and their parents.
Yes.
And their brothers and sisters and their grandparents and otherwise.
Exactly. When I say families with people with Down syndrome, in our group we have grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, brothers, sisters. I mean, we are open to anyone that has contact with a person with Down syndrome.
Right.
We even have a physical therapist in our group that serves on our board just because she is so interested in children with Down syndrome.
That's great. That's great. Sharon, real quick, what exactly is Down syndrome for viewers who may not be familiar, maybe familiar with some of the symptoms or some of the outward, just what exactly is Down syndrome?
Down syndrome is a chromosomal abnormality. Normally, you and I, we have 46 chromosomes. We get 23 from our mother, 23 from our father. And a person with Down syndrome has an extra chromosome. And 95% of the people with Down syndrome have an extra number 21 chromosome.
Okay.
The medical term for Down syndrome now is trisomy 21. Tri meaning 3, somy for the chromosome, and then 21 for the extra copy of the chromosome on the 21st chromosome.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that is this something that could be prevented? Is this something that I guess you find out about it only after the fact? Is that?
Well, when Laura was born, 16, almost 17 years ago, prenatal testing was not as common as it is now. And doctors, as a rule, just recommended if you were over a certain age, over the age of 35, that you have prenatal testing done. And of course, the prenatal testing was not as sophisticated as it is now. Mm-hmm. Now there's very sophisticated prenatal testing available, and so you can find out early in the pregnancy whether or not your child would have Down syndrome or not. Mm-hmm. There are parents that elect to not have that testing done, and then they find out if their child has it after birth.
Sure. Well, that's a big deal. I think you mentioned Laura has a younger sister.
Yes.
Is that something? I mean, surely families go through. Was there some issues, any concerns that her younger sister would also have Down syndrome at birth?
There are concerns. I mean, our physician told us at the time it's not genetic in something that you inherit. You don't inherit a gene or a tendency for Down syndrome. And so the chances of having another child with Down syndrome are very slim.
Right.
And that's very well for your intellectual. You know that and understand that. But the emotional side of it, we were very concerned. We were afraid that our second child might have Down syndrome. Mm-hmm. And so we did elect with our second child to have prenatal testing done just to prepare us for that possibility. Mm-hmm. But it's very rare that occurs. I'm not sure of the exact statistic, but it's very rare that another child in the same family is born with Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm. How did that term come around, Down syndrome? Was that just the history behind that?
There was a physician in England that first helped identify the third copy on the 21st chromosome, and his last name is Down.
Okay.
And so that's where the name Down syndrome came from. Over the years, it's evolved to where the majority of physicians and medical professionals are referring to it as trisomy 21.
As you mentioned earlier, that's right. Albeit so many of the groups had been mentioned. You mentioned some national groups before we started filming earlier this morning. The idea of the Down syndrome, the Down Syndrome Council, or of course you all having this name even 2.5 years old, because so many folks are more familiar with that name in the viewing public or in the area.
And for some parents too, I've been told that putting a medical term to the condition, trisomy 21, creates more of an element of uncertainty and fear. And parents have told me that they prefer Down syndrome because it's a little bit gentler for them to take that in.
Right, that's very interesting. I bet that is something that parents want to do. They obviously want to have something that they can not only discuss with their child, but with the other children. For instance, I think you mentioned that you are a nurse now, am I correct, at Waccamaw Elementary School?
Yes, in Pawleys Island.
Probably questions that even children have there at the school if they find out your involvement or with Grand Strand Down Syndrome Society, or if they've met your daughter, probably have questions about that. What are some of the most frequently asked questions that you'd get, let's say from children, just that idea of young children who are probably very inquisitive?
They are, and the nice thing about children is they're not afraid to ask. Where adults tend to maybe look but feel uncomfortable about asking questions, and children normally don't. And the most common question from children is, can I catch this? And I think if they hear the word syndrome for a child, that relates to a disease or an illness, and they want to know if they can catch Down syndrome from the child that has it. And of course that answer is no. And it's a very easy question to answer. And if children appreciate the simple answers, and I've told children over the years, Laura has Down syndrome, this is who she is. This is the way she has been from the beginning. And you can't catch it. And children accept it very easily. Much better than a lot of adults.
Yeah, I bet so. Adults, as you mentioned, even that intellectual side for adults, possibly for y'all in the second childbirth, just knowing something, but at the same time always thinking, well, there's a chance that something else is out there. And so kids, I think, hear that answer and it probably sticks with them.
Exactly.
That's great. That's great. And you mentioned that y'all came here 7 years ago. What
Yes.
brought y'all to the Grand Strand?
My husband works for International Paper in Georgetown, and we were transferred here.
You've got a background in nursing.
Yes, I've been a nurse for 26 years.
Is that right? Wow, you're
Long time.
dating yourself. No,
I know, I'm
kidding.
afraid to do that, but oh well.
Well, that probably helps a lot in dealing with folks and the familiarity with being able to describe things. Surely talk about the medical
Yes.
terms, but also know how important it is to get across the basic, the more commonly used terms, being able to explain things to folks. You mentioned within the society, how many folks are active, and it's just Horry and Georgetown counties?
We're reaching out to Horry and Georgetown County. We have about 50 to 60 families on our list right now, and we know that there are more families out there.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons I appreciate being able to come and talk to you this morning, is that we know there are more families out there that we've not been able to be in contact with.
Right.
We've had articles in different newspapers,
Sure.
From Georgetown Times to the Coastal Observer.
Great.
And up in here into Myrtle Beach, we've had articles in paper, but for the most part, we're word of mouth. One parent telling another parent that this is available and what type of support they're receiving from it.
You want parents to get active.
Yes.
What are some of the potential concerns for parents who aren't active? If they're not active in a good support group like this, what are some of the concerns that y'all have as a group? Why is there a need to get them active?
Well, for a parent that's not active, they have a great sense of being alone, of being isolated when they have a child with Down syndrome. If they don't know of any other families or know anyone else that they can talk to,
Right.
if their child has medical issues such as heart issues, which so many children with Down syndrome do,
Right.
and they don't have another parent to talk to that's been through this,
Right.
they are out there kind of just alone, like in the middle of the ocean on a life raft.
Right.
And we can provide information for those parents.
Right.
And not only can we provide printed information, we can put them in contact with parents that have gone through the same thing. And they can exchange ideas, they can exchange experiences.
Right.
And that is just such a wonderful thing, to know that there's another parent out there that's been there and done that
Absolutely.
and survived it and is doing fine, doing well.
How about medical professionals? Are they out giving or helping to provide some information about Grand Strand Down Syndrome Society?
We've been in contact with several physicians' offices, and they've been very receptive
Sure.
to our information. They understand that we are strictly there to provide support and information.
Right.
And a physician can provide a certain amount of information. And past that, they can't relate the experiences of day-to-day life with a person with Down syndrome, and that's where we come in.
Great.
And we can do that. We can assist the physicians, the hospitals. We've had hospitals call our group when they've had a new child, a new baby that's been born, and given the parents the information about our group. And then also for families that have moved here, by getting in contact with a local physician,
Right.
they can get the information about our group.
Speaking about that, Sharon, if a viewer needs to get off to work now or get family out of the house, is there a good phone number or even a website that may have some information about the Grand Strand Down Syndrome Society?
There is. We have both. Our website is www.gsdss.net.
Right.
And on the website, it also has our email address listed where you can just click on it and email us.
Great.
And then our telephone number is 283-0890.
283-0890, and there's a
Yes.
voicemail there if a viewer called, for instance,
Right.
not during working hours.
Exactly.
Could leave a message, 283-0890. And of course, some of the other info that you mentioned earlier this morning, some of the information they could find on the website. A lot of great links to national organizations,
Right.
frequently asked questions on those sites. And of course, you also mentioned, I think, that a viewer who may want to sign up for the golf tournament, we're about to get into the golf tournament, but sign up, they could do that in it's a secure website, so
Yes.
making credit card
Yes.
donations online, either for that or for the Down on the Beach event, or of course even the
Right.
Pelicans event at the end of the month.
All
One of
that
those.
can be done on the website securely with a credit card.
That's great. That's great. One of the biggest pushes, I guess, here for viewers, if they know somebody who is a parent of a child with Down syndrome, just to simply ask that parent, are you familiar with Grand Strand Down Syndrome Society?
Yes.
Here's their number. If you're not, give them a call, because as you said, they're oftentimes feeling like they're alone and
Right.
having to deal with it on their own.
Right. And that's what we hope will come from this program, that somebody out there will see this and call their neighbor or someone at church or at school
Right.
and ask if they're aware of the group and give them the website, the telephone number, and go from there.
You think there's about how many parents? Do you have any idea that you want to? You don't, but you
No.
know it's more than
We
the
know
50
it's
of y'all.
more.
Yeah.
We know
in
it's
Horry
more.
and Georgetown County.
And we hear from individuals, we hear from people all the time. Well, I know someone, and let me give them your brochure or
Right.
tell them about you. And so we know that there are more people out there.
That's a great thing. If they called, you have some brochures that you could actually
Yes.
mail them.
We do. We have brochures. For new parents, we have a wonderful information package that we have put together for new parents. It's just a matter of getting in touch with the people and contacting them.
What are some things that, and I sure want to get into the tournament, the 7th annual tournament, but just an idea, what are some, are there some things that parents would have to do differently? Of course, you have a 13-year-old, or there's some, when we think about basic necessities, are there clothing differences, or my daughter wears glasses, for instance, my 5-year-old, are there different, I mean, just anything there that are different for children with Down syndrome?
There are certain physical characteristics that are different.
Right.
You mentioned glasses, and people with Down syndrome tend to have a flatter bridge on their nose and sometimes a wider face, so fitting glasses can be difficult. And we do have information we're putting on our website this week about a company that is now making glasses specifically for children with Down syndrome.
Great.
Where if you take your child even to a local optometrist
Right.
or ophthalmologist, you could take that information to them and they can contact them and get the glasses for you.
That's wonderful.
Physical characteristics also, people with Down syndrome do tend to have a little bit shorter of an arm and shorter legs, so fitting with clothing can be difficult, but it just requires alterations.
Sure.
There are companies that are looking into making clothing specifically for people with Down syndrome, but it's just as easy to alter a little
Right.
bit.
Well, the great thing was seeing on your website that you all are doing things, not just in Georgetown County, but a lot up here. I think it was Trinity United Methodist Church over in Conway had a big event, event you all had over there. Also, a seminar that was put on in February, maybe?
Yes. In February, we had a seminar that was put on by a company called Protected Tomorrows out of
Right.
Chicago. And they provide education and planning assistance for financial needs for people with for people of any disability, actually, not just Down syndrome.
Right.
Because there are certain things that we need to be aware of, guardianship issues when they turn 18.
Right.
Do you or do you not apply to be their guardian? Financial issues, are they going to be receiving Social Security? How do you handle their finances? Because
Right.
once they enter that system, it creates a whole new set of rules and guidelines. And then planning for their future.
Right.
Financially, and it's a different ballgame than planning for a child without a disability. And this company came in and provided a day-long, wonderful seminar that we held at Horry Georgetown Technical College. And
Great.
it was very informative, very informational, and they provided continued service to the families that attended in helping them do financial planning.
Another great reason that we need a successful 8/15 and or August 15th and August 16th to have the
Exactly.
funds to put on more great seminars like
Right.
Protected Tomorrows. Let's go ahead and talk about the golf tournament, and then we can
Okay.
talk a little bit about Down by the Beach.
Okay.
The date for the tournament's coming up quick.
It is just a couple weeks. It's August 16th.
Okay.
It's at Caledonia Golf and Fish Club
Oh,
in
great.
Holly's Island.
Get down.
Yeah.
Beautiful course. Top
Gorgeous.
100 in the world.
Wonderful. It's a
And
big draw for the tournament.
absolutely.
Yes. And it's sponsored by International Paper, the Georgetown Mail,
Right.
and Outback Steakhouse and Murrells Inlet are the two large corporate sponsors.
Right.
And this is actually the 7th year that International Paper has done the tournament, but they change every couple of years. They provide this tournament for a different charity.
Great.
And we've been fortunate last year and this year to be the beneficiary of this.
That's tremendous.
We still, you can register for this golf tournament online at our website.
Okay.
Or you can print off a brochure and mail it to the address that's on the brochure. We still have lots of sponsorships available.
Great,
And we
good.
still have some golf slots available, although those are going kind of quickly now.
I bet they are. $100 per person, $400 a foursome, but some of the sponsorship opportunities are as reasonable as $75 up to $1,200.
Exactly.
So there's tremendous and great benefits. I saw the gold sponsorship at $1,200 really gave some great benefits there for folks.
Definitely.
And they can still get those benefits over the next 2.5 weeks. So they really
Yes.
need to call now, either the 283-0890 number, or go online to gsdss.net.
Yes.
To print off this info and see how easy it is to take advantage of this great tournament. In Caledonia, the opportunity. Are you a golfer, Sharon?
I am not a golfer, and
Your
I
hubby,
live
maybe?
next door
Yeah.
to Caledonia.
You do?
So,
Yeah.
But I'm not a golfer, and neither is my husband. He's a fisherman. But the course itself is just absolutely gorgeous.
Right.
And just to drive into Caledonia and see. And all of the golfers that I know, we have many friends that are golfers, and they just rave about how wonderful the course is.
Right, right.
And with your $100, if you do sign on to play, you will get, of course, a gift bag that comes with that. But then at the end of the tournament, Outback Steakhouse provides a wonderful meal of steak and chicken.
They're at Caledonia. They bring it down.
to Caledonia, so when you
tremendous.
finish up, you walk over and you get a delicious meal.
That is magnificent, Sharon. Well,
Yes.
the folks there at surely at Outback and International Paper stepping to the plate. The Springs family and the folks at Ponderosa who own Caledonia, the ownership group there.
Yes, they're
we actually
wonderful.
had John Springs on last Monday on the show, promoting a tournament this weekend there at Caledonia to benefit the Red Cross. And then Charlie Thrash was on this past week promoting John was on promoting one for the Coastal Samaritan Center, and Charlie promoting one for the Red Cross at True Blue. So clearly these two great courses, those folks opening up the doors to support, and of course International Paper and Outback stepping up to the plate. But they're clearly, some of these sponsorship opportunities bring tremendous benefits.
They do. They really bring, as I said, our new parent packet information. We give new parents the financial seminar. We do so much with the money that we receive, and we are entirely a volunteer organization.
Yes.
Entirely. So any of the money that comes in through sponsorships or donations to our group goes back into the group for the benefit of the members.
Every penny.
Every penny.
That's tremendous, Sharon.
Every penny.
Not too many groups
Totally
can announce
volunteer.
that in the area. Not to take anything away from groups that need a couple of pennies of every dollar for administrative expenses, but still, to know that you all are doing that. Will a lot of your members and the volunteers be at the tournament on August 16th?
A lot of our members are, yes, we will have a lot of volunteers there.
Great.
There will be should be several adults there with Down syndrome. Now, as far as the small children, it's not exactly the environment to have them there. But we will have a lot of members of our group there volunteering. And we do have something special that we did not have arranged at the time of our brochure, but we do have hole-in-ones contests going.
Good.
And of course on a par 3 hole 6, and if someone gets a hole-in-one on that hole, and they're going to get $5,000.
Get down. That's tremendous.
$5,000, yes.
Well, I saw the registration begins at noon, and the shotgun start at 2.
At 2.
So a lot that has to happen. You've got another big event on the night before, the second annual Down by the Beach Dinner and Dance. Very exciting. Where will that be held?
That's at Precious Blood Catholic Church in Pawleys Island on Waverly Road, right around the corner from Caledonia. We will have a delicious dinner. It's being catered by several local restaurants such as Quigley's in Pawleys Island, Texas Roadhouse. Several other restaurants are getting on board with that. The band Soul Function is going to be playing that night. They're a wonderful band. Music is great, and they're coming. We're going to have some entertainment for the children. Our door prizes this year, our raffles and our giveaways this year are very unique in that everything that we are giving away this year is being created by a person with Down syndrome. From artwork to jewelry to note cards, things of that nature. Everything. There's amazing artistic talent in the Down syndrome community, and everything that we're giving away is created by a person with Down syndrome.
That's wonderful. Well, there's so many more questions to ask and info to get out. Sharon, I'm embarrassed to say we've run out of time.
I can't believe it's gone
25
by so quickly.
minutes have blown by. So thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Good luck on those 2 events on August 15th and 16th.
Thank you.
Very definitely. Stay tuned to a little more Carolina People with Sharon Hughes, the president of the Grand Strand Down Syndrome Society. Coming up next. You know, we ran out of time and couldn't get into what Sharon talked a little bit about off camera, this national campaign that's kicking off. Hopefully you'll be seeing them on TV spots, in print ads, not only here but all over the country. We're more alike than different. We're more alike than different. We didn't get into that. We did get to hear a little bit about Protected Tomorrows and that powerful seminar held in February. Events like the upcoming golf tournament, the upcoming Down by the Beach, the Pelicans Ballpark Night on August 31st. You can learn about these. Visit gsdss.net, gsdss.net, or give them a call, 843-283-0890. There's a lot of information on there, but think about it for parents that have just found out their child will be born with Down syndrome, parents who've just had a child with Down syndrome, parents like Sharon and Mike, whose daughter is now planning on driving, getting out there. They have to be thinking about the future, whether it's pre-birth, right after birth, many years after birth. There's still a lot of things in planning for the future and protecting tomorrow. Get involved if you know somebody with Down syndrome, a parent with a child with Down syndrome who may not be active with the Grand Strand Down Syndrome Society. Let them know about how easy it is to get involved and be a part of this tremendous group. Sharon Hughes, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Sorry we ran out of time.